guest. We've had 2 guests this season. This is magnanimous. I mean, we like last season we had 1 guest and we were scraping the bottom of the barrel. And now we got the legendary, what is that, Quindolyn Rivers, aka the Midwest Heartthrob.
That's me, man. You know, this I'm like a weird cockroach at the bottom of the barrel that bites back. You know, I'm excited to be here.
Well, that's fantastic to hear. Welcome, everyone, to Survivor StockWatch episode 9. Oh, man. Boy, do we have a good one for you today. Hold on. Will never got sent the link for this podcast. Let me do that. I am Jack, and with me today is someone new to the podcasting group here. It is Quinn Martin. Quinn, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm ready to kick some butt, you know, provide opinions. I'm excited.
Yeah. I gotta say, so we covered Big Brother last season, and we did that for a little while, and that was a good time. We didn't cover it this season, but I personally watched some of the season. I am sure Will watch some of the season. He'll be on any minute here. But there he is.
Sorry about that. Our host never gave me the link on email, so
that's messed up, Will. I can't believe they did that to you.
Anyway, I'm sure Will has watched Big Brother 26 as well. Lovely season, lovely energy, and I mean, while we're already talking about it, I say we just get into our slideshow here with the slide for Quinn. We like to do slides for our guests. We got a bunch of pictures I pulled off the internet here. BB26, one of the best seasons in recent memory. And you were certainly a big help in making that a nice little season, you know, had some nice quarrels with Tucker, the deep fake HOH. You had the first juror, you know, he had some really good stuff. The first question I want to ask you though, Quinn, is how's life? How you doing? What you up to right now?
You know, life has been pretty good. I can't complain. I'm out here trying to catch smoke with my bare hands, you know, trying to capitalize on this spotlight. Limelight is fading by each second, and so I'm just trying to enjoy my time, be a part of the community, and maintain this appreciation for the reality TV world that I had before being on it. And so, I can't complain at all. Just been a full-time influencer, you know, turning up, going crazy. Not really, but yeah, I'm just happy. I can't complain, and I'm just super happy to be a part of this universe.
Oh yeah. So Survivor now is your last resort, you know, trying to cling on to your 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's like a lifestyle. You know, I'm tweeting out at Teeny and Saul. Saul is my Oklahoma brother. I love that guy. That's the dude.
Well, we're gonna have to commiserate his loss. Yeah, we got bad news for you today. Yeah, that's awesome, man. You seem like you're doing well. I gotta ask, you know, you've had how long since it ended? Like maybe a month or so, I want to say. Maybe about a month. You know, it's fairly fresh. You know, you're one of the only players that I feel like we've had in like recent memory come on this podcast. And who has played in the past couple months here.
Oh yeah.
Would you change anything in retrospect? Like give me a little retrospective on what Big Brother was like, and now you're a month removed and you're in that BB influencer, a hybrid kind of world now. Would you change anything? Would you keep it all the same? What would you do?
I think that like gameplay wise, I probably wouldn't have told Chemo about my upgrade since he did sell me out to Tucker. I think that would have been pretty wise. I'm not putting up Joseph. If I can go back in time, I'd punch myself in the stomach and be like, dude, just put up T-Core. One of the triplets has to go. That power 3, they have to go. The risk of Joseph going is way too high. We had the votes to keep him, and it didn't work out. And then as an abstract, I'd probably be louder in the diary room, you know? To throw, but brother, I'm turning the volume up. If I could go back in time, I'd be like nonstop yelling, getting out of control.
That's what the fans really want. They want someone to scream in the diary room. They also want a player to talk about the challenge and explain the challenge in great detail.
Yeah.
That's what the fans really, really want. And so I'm glad that you're taking the steps to, when Big Brother does their legend season, you take the steps to,
I'm a
scream
giver.
louder and to explain the challenges in greater detail. No more I walk into the backyard, more when I step into the backyard, there's this, and this, and this, and this. So I'm glad we're taking the right steps here.
Will is a very interesting Big Brother fan. He has a lot of very interesting opinions with that show. The last question. You're on a Survivor podcast. This is foreign territory, unmarked lands. You don't really know what's going on. You'd basically be thrown into the jungle yourself in terms of discussing Survivor. My question is, so you have all your gameplay from Big Brother. You have your time in the house. What skills, what game moves, what philosophies would you take from Big Brother and put into Survivor? Because it's a completely different environment. I mean, like a third of the time, maybe three. Like, what would you say you would translate from A to B?
Like in terms if I were to play Survivor, or just as like a concept of
Yeah. Let's say you're the next Caleb Reynolds, the next Hayden Moss. You're thrown into the islands. What are you doing?
First things first, I'm not going to die the second I step up in there. All right.
That's good.
The narrative. All right.
That's good.
I think that what I am keeping of my game is my ability to connect with people on an emotional level. They were upset to see me go. Those are my dogs.
Yeah.
I'm able to endear myself with people, but above all else, I'm keeping that nefarious, like dastardly, demented weasel energy that I had in the house. I want to be the sewer cat, turbulent leopard seal. I want to stab people in the back, even when it doesn't make sense for my game. Let's topple a power, like a majority alliance. These power structures are meant to collapse, and I am the dynamite. That is kind of what I would carry out there onto the island. I was a have-not week one. I lost like 15 pounds straight up.
Oh, wow.
It was awesome. I was shredded. Yeah. But like the idea of suffering, like week two, I volunteered to be a have-not, and they're like, actually, you can't do it back to back. And then during the week that I won HOH, I actually threw my egg on the ground on purpose to be a have-not. It was the first three people. So that suffering side of things, I have no issue with that. Well,
yeah. I mean, that could be a little strategy as well. I mean, like being the have-not, taking the brunt of it on your shoulders, makes other people feel good about you.
That's what Ian Perry did in Big Brother 14, So, like, it's a very viable strategy. Would you say that starving on an island for a month, is that better than Big Brother slop? Yes or no?
I mean, the slop is honestly like an appetite suppressant. Like I'm not kidding, 3 spoons of slop like in the middle of the day, and I would be good until 24 hours later. Is crazy. And then Tucker managed to make pizza out of slop, and it was straight up delicious. So our last 2 days, we were eating like kings. All you have to do is grind it up. And so the whole house was helping us grind these steel cut oats. I think being on the island, we always joked. We're like, oh, are you having a tough time? You have this beautiful beach behind you and you're struggling. Imagine being locked in a house where you haven't seen the sun in 5 days. All right. Like, so I would not shy away from the suffering aspect of Survivor. I would celebrate it for sure.
That is triumphant. What did you make pizza? Like, how do you like?
Yeah.
Do you turn like the slop into like? How do you? Oh, you turn it into like dough. And then what do you use with it? Like, how does that work?
There's certain like ingredients you can add to the slop to flavor it. Like random sauces, things like that. And using steel cut oats and like the protein powder as like a base, Tucker was able to create slitsa. And he created a dough out of steel cut oats. It's like that guy deserves a Medal of Honor because he broke slop. Like, it was not that bad. And then you put salsa. Salsa is one of the toppings you can add to it. And we would just have like pizza like that. It was delicious.
Well, if you're ever gonna make a recipe for slop pizza or any other remedies for slop, I need to see that recipe book. Just generally, if I'm ever in a situation where I'm in, I have to eat steel cut oats like that, I need that recipe book. I will. Absolutely. I need it. All right. We're going to get into the show. We're going to get into some stocks, discussing some Survivor. We have to go with the rule book for the guests. So for individual player sides, number one, we are placing them based on their winning ranking. This means the lowest player has the lowest ranking, vice versa. So, some people are going to be number one. We think they have a really good shot at winning. Someone's going to be number 9. Obviously they have no shot at winning because of number 2. Whenever someone has a slash on the tier list, that is permanent. It's starting episode 3, so it's still in effect now. They no longer have a shot to win. No matter what, we cannot remove the slash. We think they are out, point blank, period. You may be shocked by one of our picks to slash, especially since of that, because of how well they've been doing. But we stand by it. And then if multiple people have a slash, we're placing them based on where we think they're going to place. So the lowest player we think is going to go next episode. The highest could make it all the way to the end and make it to Final Tribal Council, but we don't think they're going to win. And then number 3, we'll talk about placements throughout, but that doesn't factor into our winning rankings. All right. We ready?
Let's do it.
Bang. Here we go. The Fallen. So last episode, Quinn is sad. I'm sad too. I like Saul. I thought he was a great presence on the season. Last episode, we had predicted that Saul's ceiling was making it to the Final Tribal Council. There were signs that he was starting to look like Heidi from 44. It was kind of building up in the edit. He didn't have a lot going on early on, besides this whole Rome debacles. And then once he kind of shed that and he started to develop his own story, we're thinking, okay, maybe there's a build to Final Tribal Council here. Maybe there's a build a losing finalist. Well, not so much. He got absolutely clocked this episode in a unanimous vote after just burping at the reward. And I don't know. He never had the foundation I thought he did. I thought that Genevieve would want to keep Saul around a little longer. I thought Saul's Secret Angels with Rachel was going to last. I thought Teeny was going to want to keep Saul around, but no. It was just blink and you miss it, and he's gone. And it leaves a very kind of open playing field now with this elimination. That, to us, is pretty surprising.
100%. I feel like with Saul going, I feel like his story during the merge, it's less about what Saul's story is and what he's going to do. I feel like it is building up a case for another player where his relationship was very defined because he's going to vote for another player during the Final Tribal Council. And I think that's why Saul got the edit he got. I'm being vague on purpose. Jack knows who my number 1 is. Quinn, I don't think you know who my number 1 is. You might piece it together. But I feel like Saul, his edit overall was very linear. I feel like every time Saul got screen time, it's like, oh, that makes sense. That is just Saul. All of his meditation, confessionals, especially after Rome went, he was always a strong player, a player that, made sense in the confessionals. It's just the merge never panned out for him. And what do you think about Saul's game? Do you think he made a mistake during the, this episode, or was it just kind of wrong place, wrong time? He just kind of got.
I mean, one thing I know about Saul is that he is a Dell City Eagle, okay? And those guys know how to fight. He's got a lot of courage there. But honestly, what I've kind of absorbed from seeing different tweets and exit interviews and stuff like that, it feels like this is a byproduct of timing. They're on the island. They're about to go to tribal council, and it feels like maybe they didn't have enough time to properly articulate the value that Saul can bring players like Genevieve. When you are he's massive. Like, he is a beast in all of these competitions, and it's like he's well liked, strategically, great head on his shoulders, and he's capable of like enduring adversity. All these things that are compliments to his game are reasons to send him home. But it's also could be argued these are reasons to keep him on the island, because all eyes are going to fall on him before maybe for like a player like Teeny who can operate in the shadows. And I know she gave it her best effort for him to stay. And so it's just like disappointing to see him go. And man, I'm just so disappointed to see that. I really do feel like it was a set of circumstances that sent him home more than anything.
I completely agree. I think a big thing that we see on Survivor is, I think it's timing, right? It's how long do you have before tribal council? And we've seen that kind of operated, people and players kind of operating around timing a lot more recently. I think the most shining example of this is Tony in 40 flipping the vote on Sophie right as the sun is going down. He got about 15 minutes before tribal, and then he's going to flip the vote, right? Saul was, I think he was a case of bad timing, because it was so late in the day that everything got blown up by Sam, and everything got destroyed. Plans got ruined. People were scrambling. The opposition to the Tukus and Genevieve never found any ground. Okay, if we can argue, we can argue. But if we can't agree, we settle on this. And it wasn't going to be Saul. It would have been it would have been Sue. It would have been Kyle. But that never happened. And timing, I think, is absolutely, man, Quinn, you should be on this podcast. You want to be full-time?
Yeah.
What's the pay rate,
We're negotiating that. Okay. All right, so here we go. Getting into the rankings. Kyle with the slash. Now, I know a lot of people, he survives without immunity, right? I know a lot of people in a reactionary sense are probably going to be like, well, just because he hasn't gone the past 3 episodes, he has to be ranked higher in terms of placement. I feel like the second we rank Kyle higher than the bottom, he's going to go home. And we're going to be made fun of. We're going to look like fools. So he is still reigning at the bottom. He's trending just like Cambodia Joe, though. He's getting consistent showing in the edit. He's winning the challenges. He survives one without immunity. I do think he goes next. I think there's no way in any sense of the world, now that there's a couple people who are trying to beat Kyle, like Sue, like Gabe, if Sam can actually get in there and compete, I just don't see it. There's no way, to me, that Kyle makes it far. I don't think he makes it to final 6, based on everything that we've seen and based on the threat level. I'll give him props, though. He survived without immunity, and I'm pretty sure without a vote. I think without a vote. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he survived without getting his name written down, which, I don't know, says something about maybe his connections being a little bit stronger than we thought. But what do you guys think?
I feel like the biggest problem with Kyle is the lack of screen time, the lack of anything, where I can see him surviving the next vote. I just don't see him surviving the vote after that. Especially with the Tuku 5 being such a big group that a lot of the players are worried about. I feel like Kyle is going to be like a wrong place, wrong time kind of guy, where I don't think he's going to do anything wrong. I just think that his threat level right now is so high that he can't overcome that. Like Cambodia Joe, like Joe in Edge of Extinction, I just think that Kyle, his threat level is way too big for someone who won the first 3 immunity challenges, for someone who was on the winningest tribe, overall. Like, I do see Kyle living the next vote. I just don't see him making the vote after that. I don't see him making finale. I don't see him going past the final four, and that's why I have him at number 9. Because I originally had him at number 8, actually, but I changed my mind on that. Quinn,
what do you think?
Yeah.
I love Kyle. I think he's getting this hero edit. I think that there's a lot to say about him having a bat tattoo, and the individual immunity necklace is a bat. Like there's no such thing as coincidences. This is destiny. Okay. The biggest demerit against him is him in the DR or whatever Survivor is, the confessional, where he says that he doesn't think Genevieve is a thinker. I think that is setting the grounds for something to work against him in the future. That's the only demerit that I see to his game. I think that he's a weapon that can be utilized for players who, maybe it's beneficial for them to vote him out. But this is a guy, vegetarian, by the way, back against the wall, is willing to act and eat chicken wings. All right? That speaks to him. It speaks to something, and that's the courage to do things in the face of maybe what you want to do, maybe who you are in the real world. And I think that this isn't the last we're seeing of him. I have him kind of ranked, I don't know, like 5th. I don't know. I feel like he's going to start winning. It's like I have faith in him, and I want to celebrate him. And I think that, or I'm hoping he gets picked up by maybe a group of underdogs who can use him as a sword.
I definitely think so. I mean, especially since based on previous relationships and based on the next time on Survivor, we see Sue saying, I need Kyle out now. I hate Kyle. I hate Kyle. And based on the previous relationships, Kyle was likely going to be the next person to go on Tuku since Gabe, Caroline, and Sue were so tight. And so, Kyle, I didn't even see the bat symbolism. That is next level. But yeah, I think it depends, right? I think that if Kyle continues to try and go for the challenges, go for that physical threat status, and he doesn't lean on his backing from Tuku or lean on his opportunity of being a shield, I think he'll go very soon. But I think there's a really very obscure world where I do think that if he lets go of that physical presence and kind of sells himself off, kind of like an auction, being like auction, like, hey, like I am up for bid for my vote. You can have me. You can use me as a weapon and a shield to someone like Andy, to someone like Rachel, to Teeny, to Sam. Basically not Tuku because he's already been there the whole time. There's roads, there's avenues, and there's legs, like I like to say. But Gabe doesn't have legs. Will, were you going to say anything about Kyle?
I was going to say the only thing with Kyle, too, is the lack of – we don't hear his strategy ever. I feel like he's very passive. He reminds me of Fabio in a lot of ways. Like, I feel like if – oh, don't laugh at Fabio. What did Fabio do?
He's not as insane. Fabio was a goofball. Kyle's not a goofball. He's very
But like if Fabio went home during Nicaragua, if he had like a hero exit, if he had, if he went home and he had like a hero edit where he was like the good guy, the only good guy on, the floor or whatever the tribe name was, I feel like his edit would look similar to Kyle's. That's all.
Fair enough. Some quick comments here. I heart Kyle. Thank you, Elizabeth Powell. And
who's that?
Quinn from Tracy.
What's up, Tracy?
Getting called out. All right. We're going to Gabe now. While Kyle has room, I don't think Gabe has room. I think nothing has changed with Gabe. And while he makes it another round in the game, that just final 8, final 7, even next round blindside is coming ever closer. I think that him essentially being the voice of solidarity for Tuku and trying to keep everyone together, the voice of reason, being like, hey, put my foot down. This is what we're going to do. You can't do anything about it. I think that's going to get him more flack than praise. And I think that it is going to top out. He's still getting focus. He's still getting screen time. There's still a reason to look at him, to listen to him, to watch him on the screen. But for a little bit now, at least for us, Quinn, Will and I have figured that Gabe is going to be that next crazy final, mid-merge blindside, kind of sets the tone, sets the table for the end of the game. Nothing's changed. Nothing this episode convinced me that anything is different for Gabe and that we may have been wrong. I think we're still completely on the nose.
Oh, 100%. And I feel like Gabe's edit it reminds me of Drew from 45, where I feel like from earlier on, you can kind of tell that he's due for a downfall edit. I don't know why you had him at number 1 from episodes 3 and 4. That's kind of a one-headed move. In my opinion, there's another player who clearly should be number 1, even in those 2 episodes. That's besides the point. As much as I love Gabe for being a Baltimore guy, because the only other Baltimore player, quit because of nicotine in Survivor 45, I just feel like, see, Quinn knows.
Yeah.
Quinn, do you like vaping?
No. No.
So that's why you did so well in Big Brother, because you didn't feel the need to quit after day 3 to reunite with your vape. I know you probably miss your loved ones, but
I famously requested Camel Crushers in the diary room during my HOH. So
exactly
amazing.
But you never quit for your vape, and so that's the one thing I'll say about Gabe. He never quit for his vape. That is pretty impressive in terms of Baltimore players. But I feel like he has all the edits of like that cocky villain, a player who is in charge, and he is in charge right now. I just feel like his edit is way too negative, and there's not enough screen time where I feel like if Atuku won, he would be shown more, either because he would have a big hand in that, or he would be the winner. And so the fact that he is getting shafted along with Sue, the 2 most powerful players off of Tuku, is very telling. Because when Kyle is like the most visible player on your tribe, you're in trouble. And Quinn, what about you? What do you think about Gabe? The Charm City guy.
I wanted Gabe to succeed so badly. I have a rule when watching reality TV, and that's if you have long curly hair, I'm rooting for you. At one point, Jelinski was my winner pick. Okay. And so as I Gabe enter the island, I think my concern of his longevity is watching the reaction to his celebration when he won individual immunity. Take it from someone who my social game had legs. I celebrated for, I'm not kidding, 15 straight minutes after I won. Like, I was flipping off the cameras. I'm yelling, I'm like that. Get out of my face. And when you have when people love you, they are happy to see you happy. They were not happy to see Gabe celebrate. Specifically, Sam, I could feel the heat through the TV, man. And so for that, he definitely lost a lot of his win equity shrank there. And I do think that he is gathering a lot of attention. He's now been, people associate him and Sue. And I think that if you have the death ray and you can point it between Gabe and Sue, for me, you take out Gabe, who is now forming this not a rivalry, but we got to see Kyle and Gabe show off this showdown going against each other. I think that that's not great for him, especially when he kind of rubs people the wrong way. I saw the Twitter beef. That puts me in a direction where people aren't the biggest Gabe fans on this season. And so I think for that, his days are numbered. He's going to get put in a box and sent back to Baltimore.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that one of the big things on the island in terms of a winning story is a narrative. And how can you sell a narrative at the end and make sure that you win with that narrative? And I think there are two ways other people can see that. It's either they don't see the narrative, like our number one pick currently, and you can see the narrative. And I think people are starting to see Gabe's narrative. I think they're starting to see what Gabe is going to want to try and sell. He's going to want to try and sell this move to get outside the final 10. He's going to want to sell winning immunity over Kyle, hanging on that post with like the bare like little holds that you can, the edges of your feet. I could do that. My feet are like, I have like what, size 12, size 13 feet. I could never do that. But I think that people are starting to see why momentum could be built for Gabe on the island and why he could be a threat. And I think that's going to pay off with him going home these next couple episodes. I think we're going to see a little bit of an insurgency from some of the underdogs currently. And one of those people is Sam, who we have slashed. It took forever to slash Sam. We kept him on. You're like, okay, he's going to be fine. There's going to be some kind of solution. No, I'm done. We're done. I'm not letting him lag on any longer. I am confident. Will and I are confident. Quinn, I'm sure you are too. Hop on the bus with us because we are confident that it's not going to be Sam and that our picks are the best picks ever and we're the smartest people on the planet. Sam, this episode has a little bit of a redemption story kind of coming in, being like, I want to get revenge, but I also want to play it smart. And at the beginning, I'm starting to think, okay, of what we need from Sam to still have some contention. This is like, okay, he feels remorseful. He wants revenge, but he's waiting. He's playing it right. He has a little bit of personal vindication after not even getting close to winning the challenge. He is starting to build himself up in this positive way. And I'm thinking, okay, he's still in this. And then he becomes a chaos agent and blows the entire tribal up and gets Saul sent home. That's the bad Sam. And when that bad Sam came out at the end of the episode, I was like, that's it. Because he has solidified himself, getting a downfall, Jay, absolutely, and going soon. Going final 7, maybe final 6, final 8, final 9. He's going to be one of these big kahunas that just gets zonked right out of the game.
Oh yeah, I feel like God is the tribe to look at right now because Lavo is very fractured and Tuco is very large and also fractured. It's like that one tribe from Philippines, Tahana, I think. No, that's Blood v Water. Either way, Sam right now, he on paper is on the best position on the best tribe. And I feel like Sam's problem is that when you're a chaos agent, you really have to just hope that the cards land your way. You really have to hope for, the things kind of like you lose a lot of control, and you trade that for just hoping you have a lot of longevity. And I think that's what Sam's looking for right now is just that longevity. He doesn't have any allies because it's like there's Rachel who he blindsided during the Annika vote, Andy who just blindsided him, and then the whole Bacon tribe who also blindsided Sam. And so Sam, I think being going rogue and being chaotic, I just don't think that this season pans out for him. And I see him again as that final 8 boot, where it's like, oh, he's a big threat. Look at him. He's like Ken. And I just don't see the longevity. I do see him potentially outlasting someone else whom you have higher, but that's about it.
Maybe. What do you think, Quinn?
Do we know what Sam's age is off the top of your guys' heads?
I think 24 or 25. Yeah.
I thought he was younger. I did not have faith in Sam. I love him as a narrator. He's like a sports broadcast guy. I really love him in the diary room. Or the confessional. Like I love hearing him talk. I like that he's enjoying his time on the show. And I honestly thought that he got a very human moment in this episode where he's talking about what it means to compete for him. And you can feel this like impending doom that is weighing on his chest. He knows his days are numbered, and those are the most dangerous players in the game. He's got something to fight for. He's got something that he like. When there's nothing else to do but survive, you're willing to do anything. And so I don't think he's getting evicted next episode. But he's got something in the works, and it's crazy. After him and like chopping the string, I was like, okay, I don't like the vibe. This is crazy. But seeing that human moment of him where he's talking to just us, the audience, and he's getting emotional because he wants to win so badly. He wants to win more than he wants to breathe. Like that to me is an important like tool. And I don't think that they're including that without it paying off in some capacity. I also loved that he was teamed up with Andy today. I don't know if he was the one who pushed it or if Andy did, but he swallowed his pride and is like, hey, you just flipped on me, took out my bestie, but I'm still going to work with you. And I think that that ability to save face is a progression in his maturity from what we've seen from early episodes to now. And I'm excited to see where it goes for him because now he's getting an underdog thing, and me being such a sucker, now I'm like, come on, Sam, pull it off, brother, please. But yeah, I do agree though. His days are numbered, and I'm worried about the kid, honestly.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to kind of see where he goes from here. I think a big question that Jay pointed out here: who could Sam buddy up with going forward? You know, who's his angle? Is he going to work with Randy? Rachel and Andy. I just named that. Anyway, Rachel and Andy. Is he going to work with Teeny and Genevieve? Maybe he flips to the Tukus here. There is for basically all games. Sam has essentially run the game as a top dog. You know, Sam, Sierra, dynamic duo. Andy was their loyal foot soldier, and then last episode just gets completely rocked. Gets into that split vote and gets Sierra taken away from him. And now I think on the surface, he's a chaos agent. We're not seeing him just blowing up, going crazy. Everything's a lie. The world is burning. We're not seeing that. We're seeing him take it slowly, swallow it, digest it, and then come out with a strategy that he thinks is sound. And so in a world, I do see him making it maybe a little bit farther than Final 8 or Final 7, but I don't think he makes it to finale. I think that his days are numbered. He knows that. He's going to do what he can, but I don't think people are going to give him that opportunity because his perception now and his story are getting really strong and they're starting to heat up. But Sue's story is falling. Oh, God. Oh, I'm so mad.
What do you have Sue at? Number 1, episodes 5 and 6. Number 4 for episode 1. Jack, explain to me your thoughts behind having Sue so high, despite her lack of screen time this episode.
I wanted it so bad. I wanted the older woman to go on the season, to knock some bowling pins down, make it to the end, and be triumphant, win for her kids, all that. Just so much focus early on. It's like the age thing, finding the idol, like all the strategy. Like I feel like she's been absolutely dynamic. And then the past 3 episodes, where'd she go? She had nothing, you know, and I'm so heartbroken. And now I've slashed Sue because it's just, what's the point of having her still in contention? There is none. There's no narrative being built. There's no edit redemption. There's no scenario where she gets this commemoration come to Jesus episode. It's not happening anymore. The curtain is drawn. However, I think that placement wise, she might make it 5th again. Julie from 45, Maria from 46, both made it to 5th place. And dare I say it, I think Sue's going to get 5th place as well. And it's going to continue the worst tradition in Survivor history of the older woman playing a really great game and getting 5th.
My only reservation with Sue, though, is that the focus on her being after Kyle, and I feel like Tuku as a whole is very negative right now, and it just flatlining after the merge. I feel like Sue is going very, very soon, sooner than I think we realize, because I think players see her as a threat, but we're not seeing why Sue's a threat. It's just everyone saying Sue's a threat. She needs to go soon. And while we're seeing that with Rachel, I think Sue has a lot more to lose at the current moment. And I think her having more options will be her undoing, because a lot of players are going to be like, Sue has numbers. She's part of the Tukus. We needed to take out a Tuku. If Gabe wins immunity or Kyle wins another immunity, I see Sue being a backup. I see her being a decoy, potentially being a decoy that eventually leaves the game. And Quinn, Big Brother, it's full of the decoy, votes and decoy names. Do you see Sue as a decoy, like a pawn, using Big Brother terms, or do you see her as just a big threat that gets voted out, or do you see her as the winner of Survivor 47?
I think that, first of all, Sue's got some yannins on her, dude. Her arms are massive. I like it. She's an athlete for real. I love that she's lying about her age for some reason. That's crazy. I don't know if I see a lot of win equity with Sue, just because we haven't gotten a lot of storytelling moments from her. And so her articulating her game, it's difficult for me to imagine her on finale night just really standing in front of her peers being like, this is what happened, that to me is the biggest discrepancy in the journey for her to the W. I recognize she's a part of a power 3, and her name was the one thrown. And that's a little concerning for her. I don't know. I don't have a million opinions on Sue. I'll be honest. I just think that she's swole as heck. And, I
mean, look at her.
She's yoked, dude.
Yeah, she follows the mold, Maria from last season was an absolute juggernaut challenges. She won 3 going into the end of the game. And Sue is following that and more. I think it was quite funny that at the beginning of the season, everyone was like, yep, Sue's not going to be good at these challenges. TK immediately assumes that Sue is terrible at challenges. And now we got Sue, the juggernaut, doing pretty well in these challenges on her own. She won into the last episode, and I think she could have a nice little run here. And she still got that idol. Do you guys think that Sue will be voted off with the idol in her pocket? Maybe. I don't know. It depends on if they saw last season. Because if they saw last season in its entirety, they would know that, 4-5 people went home with an idol in their pocket? So I think if they saw that, everybody's going to play their idol, even if there's a hint of them going home. I was honestly shocked Sue didn't play it before I saw the result. I thought if it's a world where Sue actually does get a couple of votes here, I was surprised she didn't play it. But do you guys think she'll go home with the idol in her pocket?
100%. Because
okay.
Because Sue, her strategy so far has just been very one note. It's really just about protecting Gabe and wanting Kyle gone. And I feel like we've never heard her interactions, or we never heard from her about any of the Lavo or Gata members. It's been entirely about Tuku. And that's another big red flag to me, is how one note she's been. Quinn, what about you? I know you appreciate her swole, her physique, if you will. But what about Sue's strategy in social game? Do you think that she can make it, to the finale? Or do you think she's going to be picked off because she's a Tuku member who only stayed in Tuku lines?
I definitely think that she gets picked off, but I do not see her going home with an idol in her pocket. As someone who also went home with an idol in their pocket, I get the vibe from her that if she feels I think honestly she'll have to be told. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting, where it's like, hey, your name is in the mix. We're going to try to fix this. And if they can't secure the votes, I know for a fact she's playing her idol. Like, I just have faith that she is, even without seeing this last season, I think that she just gives off the vibe of someone who, if you feel even an ounce of heat right now, screw it. Let's flip it out and see what happens. Like, I think she is old, and I think that she will take the leap. I don't think that she's one to take the risk of going home with an idol in her pocket.
I like it. Time will tell. All right, we're going to the last slash here, Genevieve. A lot of people still high on Genevieve, thinking that she has a shot at winning this thing. A lot of people are thinking, hey, you know, this is the story. This is where she's building. This episode all but confirmed to me that she is the most obvious final boss in New Era history. I think that she starts off this season under-edited, literally nothing. She starts to build into this nice Kim Spradlin figure, and it's really going strong for her. And I still think she is that Kim Spradlin figure, don't get me wrong. I think she is a phenomenal strategist, really great logical thinker, laying out her thought process. We've seen a lot of that this season. And I think that even though we have those great moments, this episode was a little negative for Genevieve in a way. Like, you know, she was going after Saul, yes, but it's the way she kind of celebrated a little bit at the end. Like, thank God that happened. To me, that tells me that she is not a winner and that she is going to be someone's dragon to slay. One of our top two contenders, maybe in tandem with each other now, are going to get rid of Genevieve, and she is going to go at 5th or 4th. But no one is denying that she is a strategic, a great, badass assassin, absolutely. But her days are numbered. I don't think she's winning, and I think Will agrees with me.
Yeah, I feel like right now is the perfect example that, you know, the stocks aren't necessarily like how good a player is. I think Genevieve is the best player off of the cast of 47. I think if we place her in 100 seasons, I think she does the best, better than everyone. But I feel like this is the one season where the stars don't align for Genevieve. I see her getting picked off as the final boss, like you said, where, you know, Genevieve, as smart as she is, as great of a player as she is, I just think that the stars aren't aligning. And that's a big part of Survivor. It is mostly luck. You know, last season, right? You can make the right moves, you can do everything right, and you still won't win. That was about the jury and jury management. I think this is just about luck with Genevieve, where I think this episode was pretty bad. I think her running out Saul was a bad move. Other than that, though, I don't see her making like a bad move necessarily. I just see the game, again, not panning out. I hate to say the same thing 3 times.
No, you're right though.
Oh yeah. What about you? I feel like you would be a big Genevieve, truther. I feel like you would have her pretty high. Do you think that her early on invisibility was just shielding her from Rome, or was it, about her not winning the game period?
I think that I don't know if Genevieve is going to win Survivor 47, but I know that I want her to win. Yeah. I think that her superpower is managing the egos of those really big, unpredictable, crazy characters. She worked with Rome. She's worked with Andy. Like, managing these people who a less talented player gets burned. And so far, she's been navigating that in a way that I think is worth applauding. I think she's she's on demon time on this island. It feels like she's clocking into work every single day. And I love where her edit is at right now, because I feel like if she gets sniped, then it's like, okay, I definitely see where you're coming from on that. But if she wins, this is like a dragon taking off. You're talking about getting slayed, dragon taking off and burning down the whole village. Like, I'm a dreamer. I want her to pull this off. She's playing very dynamic. She's in your face. You know, she's celebrating. I can't believe that effing worked. Heck yeah. She reminds me of, she is the Chelsea of this season, where I think that if she is backed into her corner, she's going to be able to talk her way out of it. And, you know, there's a lot of bigger personalities still on that island that I think is going to get targeted. And she seems athletic. She's certainly smart. I think that as she gets deeper into the season, these comps start looking like end destination for her, where she's winning out. Like I have faith in her. I believe in her, and I hope that she succeeds.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt, I think, in any of our minds that she's going to make it incredibly far. I don't think she goes next episode. I don't think she goes the following. I think that Final Four, and no, if she makes Final Tribal Council, she'll win, obviously. But Final Four is the peak for her. And I think that she is building a great case as one of the better players of this era and a potential season 50 shortlister because.
Oh no!
Oh, I mean, are you're talking about dealing with Rome? That's a season of work in of itself. Just absolutely, I think that she's gonna be one of the best final bosses we've seen in a while. I mean, like there have been a couple final bosses here and there that have been pretty good, like Jesse Carson could be argued as one. It's here or there, but she's gonna be one of those good ones. Anyway, Well, did you want to say anything?
I was just going to say that I feel like Genevieve's ability to work with the cast is so much stronger than Jesse and Carson. I feel like they were just very smart players who were able to analyze it like a chessboard. Genevieve, I think, works the people. And I think that's another notch to her game in her being such a strong player. Again, I think she's the strongest player of 47. I think that if we place her in 100 seasons, she wins more than who I have at number one. I just think this is the one fringe case where Genevieve doesn't win, and that's the pipeline we're living in, and that is our cross to bear. Yeah. Anywho,
beautiful.
Thanks.
Tremendous. All right. We're going to take a quick little break, and then we're going to get into the last remaining contenders, quotation marks, because it's a little iffy. We'll be right back.
Hi, Survivor Now podcast listeners. I am Katie from KT Designs, better known as Katie Tedesco Art on both Instagram and Etsy. I have been designing and selling Survivor products for over 7 years at my Etsy shop, including replicas like hidden immunity idols and Survivor trading cards with all of the players' stats on the back. I am so grateful for Survivor Now for giving me the shout out and helping me reach even more superfans. I love listening to their podcast. So if you are looking for some really unique reality TV products for yourself or to give a superfan in your life, come check out my Etsy shop at www.etsy.com/shop/KatieTedescoArt.com.
I'm pretty sure Katie and Tegwith are doing a little giveaway. So go to Tegwith's Instagram if you want to get some. They gave like an idol, an immunity necklace. Pretty sick. All right. Time for the rest of the contenders. We're putting them here for posterity's sake. You know, they're here just to hang on. We slashed Sam. We slashed Sue. I don't want to get too greedy with the slashes because if I do, I feel like I'm going to be labeled as some kind of contender murderer out here. And so Caroline is still in it, but oh God, just slash that, get rid of that because this was bad. It was very bad. It was not a good episode. Really, until the Jenga segment. One of her confessionals is talking about Jenga. The other's about losing Jenga. And it's just it's nothing to me. The only reason she's still alive in the contender rankings is because I feel bad that I want to slash another person. I feel guilt over wanting to do that. But I'm still ready and tempted to just wachoo it, you know? We still got what? We still got 4 episodes left in this season. Caroline still can make it pretty far in this season. I think that I'd argue even Final Four could be your peak. I'm thinking right around sixth maybe for Caroline. But winner potential, there is no. It's compared to our top two right now. There's nothing. There's no ground. There's no narrative. There's no story. There's no building here. It is all flat. Like, Caroline needs to get more personal content if she wants to stay in winner contention. I just think she needs to have a story. Yeah. I don't think there is any story, and I think that even if next episode is good, there's just nothing here.
I still think there is a little hope. I think she could have a big coronation episode next episode where she's the clear front runner after the fact. It's just the lack of anything up to this point where I feel like Caroline, like Genevieve, is a strong player. She's just not in the best position. I love her optimism. I love how she's excited when other players are making good moves. It's just she seems like a player who respects the strategy and the gameplay, where she's a clear juror and she votes for who she thinks plays the best game. Or she's in the final tribal council where she is very strategic fronted when all the other players are more worried about the social game. Either way, I am very close to giving Carolina a slash. I haven't because, I feel like we could slash everyone except for two players, but even then, I just have another player above Caroline, and I'm not losing hope, but it's looking bleak for Caroline and Tuku in general. I feel like Tuku is not winning.
Yeah,
the game.
Absolutely.
What about you, Quinn? What do you think?
Woo! I love. What are we talking about? She's so great. I adore her. I think that I need Sue and Gabe. They gotta go. Okay, so that she can succeed. I really think that that's like the kick in the butt that she needs. I'd love to see her in danger, and then she convinces Sue to use the idol. Like, come on! I'm hoping something sick comes out of this. I think that there is something to say for her pure, unfiltered joy of being on that island and celebrating people and everything like that. That endears you to people. Like, you mentioned Ian, season 14. People love to see that your dreams are being realized. A lot of people felt bad voting me out because they knew how much the show meant to me, And so I think that can translate for her. I think that there are people in the jury. I think she's got some shooters. Like, she could have Gabe. She could have Sue. I feel like Teeny would respect the drip. Like, I think that there's so many things going for her. She just needs to choose when to strike. And I'm excited to see where her journey unfolds moving forward because she's a fan. She knows the writing is on the wall. She doesn't want to be a zero vote finalist. Heck no. It's time to do something dangerous. And I'm hoping that she teams up with what's her bucket? Rachel and Kyle. Like earlier I mentioned using Kyle as a weapon. I'm hoping she's the one who reels this beast in and does what needs to be done to further her game. Like, I'm so excited for her. I think she has untapped potential, and I can't wait to see it explode across the rest of the season.
Great. I think a really nice take from that. We have not seen a real kind of payoff for the Caroline and Sue relationship that was so integral to earlier in the season. It was shown to us so frequently and so oh God, I don't even know the word anymore. It was shown to us a lot, right? And we're still kind of waiting for that big kind of apex moment of that because it was shown enough for it to warrant attention. I kind of feel frisky. I like that idea of Sue maybe playing or Caroline getting Sue to play the idol for her, and that payoff from the Earn the Merge episode as well, with Caroline finding out that Sue did have the idol. I think there is a potential for that, and I think that she's a savvy player. Caroline's a smart player. We talk often, always, about winner rankings and about placement potential and all of that stuff. we don't talk nearly enough about how naturally good a player is. You know, there are some naturally good players. There are some naturally bad players. Caroline's a naturally good player. Like, she naturally, put her in a season, she will naturally do well, and she will usually make it pretty far in that season. But this season, I don't know. Could be interesting. And now we're going to Teeny, who is the number one ally slayer. 2 episodes in a row, she has talked about her connection to the player going home. Last episode is Sierra, saying that, she likes Sierra, wants to keep Sierra around, really values that relationship. Out. Talks about Saul this episode, saying that Saul's my number 1. I trust him with my life. Out this episode. I don't think that's going to bode well for Teeny at the end of this game. And I am starting to think it could be, I get to do this. So, Quinn, we have a little thing here where we play a little graphic. And it may not be this, but I have a crackpot theory.
Huge.
That Teeny is going to be a final tribal council loser.
Yeah.
Third or second. It could not be. It might not be crackpot. It might not be, but we had to do it anyways. But what do you guys think about how Teeny's doing in this game?
I love Teeny. I do. Besides who I have in number 1, she's my favorite player. It's just the edit so far has been so contradictory, where everything Teeny has wanted in this game, the opposite happened. And I think
Charlie Brown.
And we are supposed to root for Teeny right now. Like, I feel like the edit is so positive, where Teeny is the player to root for, outside of like Andy, who is a big underdog. But the downside is that I feel like that's where the positives end. Where I feel like Teeny's a player who makes the final tribal council and loses because of her lack of strategy. I see like Caroline voting for her because I think the player I have at number 1 doesn't win based off of strategy. I think it's a social win. And I see Teeny being the second placer, where she gets jury votes. I think she gets 30. I see her getting Saul. I see her getting Caroline. I see her getting, whomever else. But it's not enough to, warrant a win. I like Austin from 45. We want to make the parallels. How Sue's like Julie. Teeny's like Austin.
I'd like to counter a bigger parallel, I think, is with Jeremy in Winners at War. Kyler's on the nose here. I think that everybody who was Jeremy's ally got eliminated. Jeremy was seen as the ally, not the ally killer, but more like the ally poison. And I think Teeny has been that, and I don't think that bodes well for her. I think voting out Saul, voting out Sierra, I think it's going to reflect negatively. But Quinn, you might have a different opinion than us. So what do you think?
Her name is Teeny, but her checks are fat. All right, it's over. It's over. Make way for Teeny. She's gonna find a way. Okay? Yeah, her friends are going home, but you know who's not? Teeny, because she is a survivor. Okay? And she's gonna be the sole survivor. What? I'm gonna root against my dog? Saul is my friend. Teeny is my sister. All right. I will never say a negative word about her. She is a survivor, and she's going to assemble the troops. I want the survivor, like not the Avengers. I want the reject squad. I want the nerds who are just to survive, okay? I want her. I want Caroline. I want Rachel. I want them to team up and pick up Kyle and use him like a battering ram in Toy Story 2, the way Rex was through the thing. I want them to use him to vanquish all their foes, all right? She deserves to be fed up. She reminds me of Jake, where it's like she wants so desperately for things to happen, and it keeps falling. She keeps falling on her face, you know? I felt like during my season of Big Brother, I felt like every step I took is just a rake hitting me in the face. I turn here. I see so much of myself in Teeny. I think that she's so naturally likable. I think people will respect her at the end. She's so well spoken. And I think that she can paint a picture of this is what it looks like to endure. Adversity has nothing on me. I'm going to survive. And that's what the name of the game is. So vote for me because I'm the greatest survivor here. I believe in her. She can pull this off.
I feel like
Quinn, your energy is infectious. Go ahead, Will.
I love your optimism. I feel like if Teeny won, I think she would be viewed as like if Jake or not Austin, Owen.
Owen,
yeah. I feel like if she won, it'd be similar to if they would win. Teeny is like a Charlie Brown figure, but isn't edited like it. You know, like I feel like on paper she's very similar to Jake, where nothing's going her way. All of her allies are getting voted out one by one, and she doesn't have a lot of leverage in the game, but her edit is different. It's not so negative on Teeny. There is a lot of positivity. Her edit is very squeaky clean, which is what Austin wasn't, what Jake wasn't, and what Owen wasn't. I feel like Andy has the same like positivity and negativity that they do, but he has the same gameplay when we focus on like actually is happening. Because every episode she's like, I want so-and-so gone. I want Sam gone. I want, Rome gone. And instead what happens is entirely different than what Teeny wants.
Well, yeah, I agree. Well, I think the last thing, though, to keep in mind with Teeny is that after Asia goes home in episode 3, in episode 4, at the very beginning of the episode, she has this moment where she's like, I felt bad. I did not want to get rid of Asia. Where I kind of want to see a confessional from Teeny to still keep her in contention, really, where she basically says, I learned my lesson from Asia going home and not voting her out. I learned my lesson from that. And now I've been voting out the people that, even though I've been connected to them, I've made the moves I've had to. I've cut people when I needed to. If I see that, I think there's still a chance. But I don't think as much as the chances are up to, who at this point is pretty obvious now. Because it is Randy. Randy is their top 2. Woo! And it starts with the Andy of Randy. How did we get here? The first episode, absolute psychotic moment from Andy. Just insane. And now we're here with him as the number 2 contender on Survivor 47. I think that people are starting to finally agree with us. They're finally starting to realize that Randy have always been the top contenders, and it's been just a myriad of people trying to vie for that crown in an episode or 2. I mean, I think the biggest indicator that they are the top 2 and that Andy is there is the first couple scenes in this episode where that relationship of Andy and Rachel started to connect. Adam and Eve theory, where biting the Andy apple was the bad thing, that whatever, that's gone. That's fine. We're still correct. We're still correct that Andy and Rachel are the most important relationship in this season. And although, Jay, you want to rule them out, we can't. Because if it's not our number 1, then who? We talked about that a lot last episode. It's something we talked about in 45, where if it wasn't D, who was it? Was it Jake? Was it Austin? Andy is that, if not X, he's the Y in that scenario. And just based on him being a good, decisive, strategic decision, he's making some calls here. Next episode, he's seen as the charming guy, seeing as him doing well. I think he is the biggest competition to our number 1 winning the game. And I think a lot of people are starting to get really high on him and maybe even have him number 1. But right now, it's still just a little bit less than the number one.
Yeah. Andy's edit, though, still feels like a very growth edit, where I feel like Andy is growing as a person and a player. There's a lot of parallels drawn between Andy and Emily from 45. I don't know why I keep going back to 45. It's just been on my mind recently, I guess. But Andy, his edit just feels very Jake-ish. Like I talked about it with Teeny, where it's like, in terms of how Andy is shown and described on the edit, it feels like the Charlie Brown figure, where Andy, like, nothing's going right for Andy. He's doing his best. He's George Costanza. I actually just saw my first episode of Seinfeld yesterday, so shout out to.
Took you long enough.
My bad. I didn't know Seinfeld was a pressing issue in my life.
It's a great show.
Okay, it's a good show.
It's one of the best shows of all time.
Okay, stop. No more of this. But Andy just feels very. It's like as much as he's my number two, as much as I agree with you, if it's not Rachel, who else? It just, I feel like Andy's getting no votes. Yeah,
there's a chance.
And it feels very similar to Jake, where I feel like if D didn't win, I did not see Austin as the next contender. I saw Jake as the next contender because of his growth. And I see Andy in the same light, where it's like, if it's not Rachel, then I feel like Andy makes sense. But
I see it a little more as like Jam and Carolyn, and that Andy is more of a Carolyn than a Jake. In terms of personality, I think he's absolutely Jake. But in terms of strategy and in terms of playing the game, I think it's a little more Carolyn. But I still think Final Tribal Council loser is like only a little bit more sound than full out winner.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Andy is a player who has been shown to like contradict the edit. I just feel like he's a player who nothing goes right. And Quinn, what do you think about Andy? I feel like you would work well with Andy. I feel like you're a big Andy fan. I feel like if we placed you and Andy on an island together, I feel like y'all would work together. Adjacent to Sam and Andy.
I mean, the one thing about me is I'm gonna work with everyone. As someone who had 7 final twos, so I don't know what that is. I'm like, you would work with him. I'd be like, sure. I'd look him in the eyes and be like, I trust you implicitly. We're in this together. Shing, shing, shing. Like probably what would happen. I'm obsessed with Andy, and this might be a little meta gamey. So if this is out of line, let me know.
Okay.
Andy joined Twitter like 2 episodes ago. And says that he doesn't win. And the reason why is he probably wasn't sure how he would be perceived on the show. And then he did get such a positive reception because he is a bit of a hot mess express. It's someone who you just want to see him smile and succeed. And he's so quirky and funny. And so that to me paints a picture that he didn't win. And then in terms of like the edit, I don't know. I feel like if I'm on the island, Andy looks like he's up to something. Like, and he has smiled and celebrated every single blindside. He's so like whatever. And I think that this is like a comeuppance moment where he's celebrated. And then now that he's pulling off these moves, and now they're going to turn the death beam in his direction. And they say, all right, you loved it so much. How's it taste? That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. I hope it's not true. I'd love to see him at the end. But I just don't see how, he's so transparently going with the power that I feel like people identify that as a huge threat where you can just say, hey, if I'm Sue, you notice that he's being pulled over to have these conversations and he's hearing them out. That means they were going to him as a trusted source, and maybe he isn't as under your control as you would hope. And so I feel like Gabe, Sue, and Caroline hopefully see that as a reason to take him out, instead of like trusting the process. I love the apple theory, where you take a bite, then you're gone. I feel like it's like cooking with a pan with no oven mitt. Like you're just waiting to get burned with Andy. And so I think that you have to snipe this guy. That's what I think his destiny is in this game, is to get sniped.
That could be a very interesting elimination. I think you're absolutely right, and I think the big thing here is the people that have looked at Andy as someone they can use versus they look at Andy as someone they can work with. And I think while the theory of altogether working with Andy or in some capacity is like biting the apple in that Adam and Eve's garden, I also think that could be revised to be like, if you're working with Andy to use him, that's biting the apple. If you're working with Andy to work with Andy, like, maybe you're good. Maybe you're going to make it out. Rachel is number one yet again. 2 episodes in a row for Will and I. We are more than confident. People are still doubting her. People still have her maybe at number 2, number 3. But we have no doubts in our mind. It, to us, is a redemption story. Every episode being told from Rachel's perspective that she's still got a fighting chance in this game. She's still got legs in this game. Might have not been the greatest visible episode for Rachel. Didn't get a crazy amount of screen time. Doesn't matter. This episode's elimination, I don't feel was as consequential to her journey. And I think the only thing to take away from it was the establishment of Saul and Rachel's connection in the previous episode, where the Saul Secret Angels was reinforced by Saul, and Rachel kind of accepted that offer. And that's how that connection and maybe that vote goes at the end of the game. But Rachel's still hitting her stride. She's still got an idol. She's a plucky underdog. People saw her as a threat and said she was a threat for the past couple episodes, and that went absolutely nowhere, which is always very good for a new era winner. If you're talked about as a threat, you're talked about as someone who needs to go, and you don't go, you don't even get targeted, you don't even get your name written down, you're going to fare well. And I think that out of the connection of Rachel and Andy, I think Rachel is the most winner coded in a weird way. This season's edgic and edit has been strange. I've had Sue at number 1. I've had Gabe at number 1. Will's had Teeny at number 1 for like 3 episodes. Like we have kind of shot in the dark here, but I think we're finally hitting the mark with Rachel, and I have no doubts. And I'm sure Will, maybe even Quinn, you guys don't have any doubts either.
I mean, Mr. Jack Powell, I think you're, discrediting me because I had Rachel at number 1, episode 1. I kind of called Rachel being the winner from very, very early on.
Look at you clairvoyant.
I moved her was because she was being cheated with the whole Annika relationship, where I feel like after Annika went, Rachel's edit skyrocketed. And I would argue too that she had a lot of screen time this episode because the first 10 minutes of this episode were about the Gata. It was about her and Andy. It was about Sam, reeling it from the blind side. It was about Rachel and Andy connecting. It was about Rachel using her shot in the dark. And it wasn't like the first 10 minutes was solely about her. It was about Gata, and it was about her placement in that power structure. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest hallmark, or not hallmark, but that's the biggest winner-esque moment of Rachel this season. People have gone back. They've noticed that her opening confessional was fitting into the theme of Community this season. Yeah. And I just feel like Rachel is not a done deal, but now that I'm questioning things less, now that things seem a little more clear, I think Rachel's the winner, and I'm so happy I called it. It's my retribution for calling Kelly my winner pick in 45.
Oh God,
calling Mariah as my winner pick for 46.
Those were rough times.
Rough times indeed, but we got here. All right, Andy's like James Garfield, the 20th U.S. president, and Rachel is like who's the 21st president?
I have no idea. Where did that come from?
Chester Arthur. All right, Rachel.
What?
Andy walked so Rachel could run, and that's where I sit. Quinn, how do you think? Do you think Rachel is the next Chester Arthur?
I was scared you were going to ask me who the 22nd U.S. president was. I have a
It's over Cleveland, by the way.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, honestly, Mr. Jack Powell, do I have your blessing to play the crackpot theory? Because we're comparing Rachel to U.S. presidents now.
Yeah, go ahead. It's fine. Go ahead.
Let me. I think Rachel's next Chester Arthur.
There it is. There was a graphic. There's a graphic involved, and now I'm convinced. Oh my goodness.
Now you're convinced. There you go. Welcome to Survivor Now.
Oh my goodness, this is huge. I think that if there is a Rachel parade, I'm signing up and I'm inserting a float. All right. I'm gonna celebrate her no matter what. She has glasses on, okay? She has me to see. And so I'm gonna vote for her to win. Of course, always. I want her to succeed. I'm excited to see where this edit takes her. You know, I was a Annika fan. And so to see her fall, I hope that this is just a sign that Rachel flies. And I have faith in her to be able to pull this off. I think that she stayed calm, cool, and collected this episode. She's not worried about it. Saul, all right, man. We got what we needed, brother. And then let's keep moving forward. I'm really happy to see the Rachel appreciation here because I think she's really cool and I want to see her succeed, obviously. She's great.
Quinn agrees with us. I absolutely. I think that the callbacks to previous episodes combined with just the wealth of content and the strength of winner quotes and moments, it's all adding up. And I think that the next episode is going to have to be a really chaotic, messy, terrible episode for Rachel for her to drop from number one. But right now, cool, calm, and collected. All right. Time for the edge. I got graphics for everything.
Oh yeah. Quinn, what do you think about the graphics and the little videos? Are you a fan? Are you not a fan? Like we have one for the crackpot theories. We have one for the Edgic. You know, like what do you think?
I'm loving it. Whoever has that Canva premium membership, turn up. It looks great.
Randy Bruce.
Thank you, Randy Bruce, for your Canva Preview membership.
I'm not pronouncing your last name, Randy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like Ziegelin or something. I don't know. Anyway, so we're gonna get into my Edgic real quick. So, no fives this episode. Couple good episodes. Rachel still continuing with their nice complex content. Andy getting a nice CP4 there. Saul going home on an over the top 3. It's kind of sad. You know, because his whole thing this episode was burping at the reward and being like the world's greatest Guinness World Record holder of burping, which is unfortunate because based on the past 2 episodes, I'd love to see a nice strategic downfall from Saul this episode. But alas, we didn't get that. Nothing crazy this episode, nothing out of the ordinary. And now we go to Will's, which is really not that different, although you had Genevieve with a negative.
I did. I really did. Also, I had Saul at middle of the road. I would actually make his visibility, I think, mixed. Or no, I'm thinking of Sam. I would have Sam as mixed over the top instead of just regular, toneless. I had Genevieve as negative because her reasoning for wanting Saul gone was because she's petty. And I think that is a big it's a big negative mark to her game because Genevieve so far has been a very, cool, calm, collected player. And so the fact that she's taking, a petty move against, Saul because Saul wanted Rome gone when Rome was harassing Saul, I thought that was pretty negative. And I think it's the start of Genevieve's downfall. Retroactively, I would also put Sam as a mix because again, I don't like how he blew up Tribal. the last 20 minutes of the episode was a chaotic mess, and that is because of Sam. Because Sam told Sam told Saul, and like everything else, I agree with you. I don't know why I have Andy as CP2. I feel like his visibility was higher. That is just a misinput. I agree that he's a complex personality. Quinn, are you an Edgic kind of guy, or is this all just kind of noise to you?
Yeah, I kind of zoned out. I
Okay.
was playing in my head while you guys were talking. I have no idea what any of this means. I'm a vibes based guy. Like, I understand what Edgic is, but when I'm watching the show, I'm just like, well, I'm sure that'll pay off at some point. Like, that's kind of my perspective. Very casual in that regard. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's play a little bit with that then. So the Edgic here, there are 3 tones. There's the positive with the P, there's the negative with the N, and there's the mixed with the M. You look at these, what we call strips, Edgic strips. Who is like looking the best? Positive, negative, mixed. Andy's got a lot of negative and mixed. Rachel's got some positive in there. Genevieve's got some positive in there. What are you thinking? Who's looking the best based on the...
I'm seeing a lot of positive here for Rachel, and that's always something worth celebrating. And so I also... Let's see. There's some negatives here with Genevieve. I think that's interesting. But yeah, I think that just from looking at it and learning about this 2 seconds ago, I feel like Rachel is receives the ballot for good vibes.
I'm so happy you said Rachel because I've been saying Rachel since day one. Jack disagreed. R/Edgic disagreed. I'm coming out of Survivor 47 looking like the smartest guy around, and yeah.
Don't get too cocky, Will. Okay, don't get too cocky. Don't get too ahead of yourself right now. Okay.
Oh, don't get ahead of myself. Okay, so Mr. Quinn, if I may, Mr. Jack Powell, he was celebrating when my preseason draft picks from 45 went home. He was
it was funny.
Grilling me when Hannah Rose quit, when Sean quit. Those are 2 players on my preseason draft where I didn't know, like, there was no visibility, there's no tone. And so now, when I'm calling Rachel as the winner, episode 1, and it's panning out, I have to celebrate it. And Quinn, if I may as well, I feel like you understand my shoes in the matter. Are you a shoes guy? I think so.
Listen, man, right now in terms of shoes, I'm rocking the slippers from my HOH room. All right. So
there you go.
And listen, you shout be able to shout from the rooftops after what you have endured. Hannah and Sean in your draft is crazy. All right.
My bad.
Bonkers. And I feel bad for you because that's tough. So I think that you should be able to celebrate as much as possible. Jack wants to extinguish your flame. He wants to throw you to the wolves, hit you with his car metaphorically. And I won't stand for it, Will. I won't.
I'm just being realistic. All right, let's get into some closing slides here. First of all, join our Patreon. You get a little free trial, view some of our videos. You want to stay, pay some bucks. Not that bad. Check out our shop, get some merch, get some Survivor StockWatch merch, because obviously we're the best show on the platform here. Follow us on Instagram, X, Twitter, what have you. And then don't forget, like and subscribe. Listen to all our content on Spotify. Will, Quinn?
Jack, why are you like the in the middle there? Well, let's move Quinn over.
Yeah.
This is Quinn's podcast. Actually,
This has been the stocks.
Calm down. I have a question for you, Quinn. You are a big proponent of the curly hair meta, right? Like that is you. What is your stance on wavy hair? Because I know I just got out of the shower. I haven't brushed my hair yet, but I got the waves. Like I don't have curls as defined as you do, but like this is something.
I want you to know. I'm a huge supporter. Any vague long hair, I will co-sign on reality TV.
Right.
I saw Eric Reichenbach and his hair arguably not even long. And I was like, that's my guy. Like as a kid, those are the representations. So Don't worry, you fall into the category for sure.
Eric, the one word I would describe his hair is shag, because like I'm thinking back to him being voted out in Micronesia, and like when he was running away after getting voted out, his hair was behind him. Like his hair was still at the little podium where Jeff snuffs the torch. You know, Eric was running away. His hair was still staying there. And so I'm just happy that you see the light and you see the vision with the hair. And, you know, when I go on Big Brother, 30 or Survivor, 49, I'm happy that you're in my corner.
I got you.
Thank you. Jack, where's your long hair? Didn't you get the memo?
I don't have any.
Like,
I have a beard. I have a beard. That's my long hair.
All right,
no shave November.
Don't brag. Me and Quinn, we struggle with facial hair. It's okay. Me and Quinn,
we are up right now. Come on, come play with me.
Hey, we're
that's cute, guys. First time.
My conference stash from in the BB house. Come on.
Oh my gosh. This has been the Stocks.
Calm down.
Will, Quinn, any final thoughts you want to give the audience?
Quinn, I'll leave it up to you.
Skodone, roll tags, horns down. Check me out on Twitch every now and Quinn. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
That's been awesome. Will, anything to say?
Quinn, open invitation. Survivor 48. If you want to come by, just let us know. Let Randy know, or whomever. Open invitation whenever you want. And, I hope that when you're watching me on Survivor 49, you'll think back to this podcast. You'll be like, hey, I talked to this Will guy. And Jack, when you're also watching Survivor 49,
you guys aren't competing together? What the heck?
No.
Survivor's moving away from blood versus water. Speaking of blood versus water, me and Jack, we're doing a little online reality game.
All right, well, that's for later. We thank you all for watching this episode of Survivor StockWatch. Quinn, you've been an awesome guest. Your energy has been much loved, much deserved, much needed. We thank you all for watching this episode with us in a confirmation of what we believed and what we trusted in. And we will see you all next episode for what is sure to be our most analytical, nitty-gritty episode of Survivor StockWatch yet.